Welcome back to Leaders Live. I'm Charlie Stevens, your host. We have a special event today. We are in the center of the universe, Times Square, New York City, to bring you a live event with David Meltzer, the CEO and co-founder of Sports One Marketing. We're going to go over to the Microsoft headquarters at 11 Times Square to meet up with David. Let's go. Whoa. We got a live event. You guys coming? Live event with David. David Meltzer, Microsoft. You want to come? We're going to head into Microsoft's headquarters in New York City, where they occupy 200,000 square feet in the base of 11 Times Square on 8th Avenue. Let's go. David Meltzer, CEO, co-founder of Sports One Marketing. So we have a special live event here at Microsoft today. We got a good crowd. Yeah, all right. Nadal's going to hit the clock. I think we probably already started the minute countdown clock. We'll get started and we'll roll into it. But you want to keep going a little bit while we get to the countdown clock?
Yeah, sure. So the way that I break down things, and I'm kind of an odd person in the respect that I'm extremely emotional, energetic, spiritual, but I have the other side of my brain where everything has to be mathematically defined and proven. So I do a lot of things by steps. And in this case, I believe there's 6 steps in order to get that business. And the first is just credibility, right? You always need credibility in what you're doing. You can't build credibility until you have an emotional connection. So when you're presenting, your emotional connection will be to evolve to have credibility, and that's trust and like. It's clearly defined. Beyond that, to get business is just math to me. Always, and I call it 120 rule. I'm always trying to make sure that people can't see any reason they won't want to move forward with what I want to move forward. So I quantify the reasons you should do business with me. Literally mathematically quantify it. And only quantification I know at this vibration, at this universal level, is money. Right? So I like to quantify. I get around all the woo-woo, subjective, all the things that people try to sell on, because you lose business when you have subjectivity, because then you have someone else's perception involved. So try to quantify what you do money-wise to the reasons they should do it. Quantify the impact that it will have. I mean, it's terrific that you built 2 community centers in Africa and millions of lives have changed, but somebody would rather make more money so that they can donate the money to build the community centers for themselves and put the money where they feel has the most impact. So quantify the impact, and then your capabilities, you have to be able to quantify them. Right? You have to be able to put things into numbers, because there's a real simple equation. I put it in my first book, and I joke around, my wife's maiden name is Penn, P-E-N-N, so I call it the Penn Value Index, because I believe every sale, every shared vision is created with quantifiable value. And if you can provide more value than you're asking for, nobody will say no, right? And so what I work on is, can I borrow that right there? Is that a pen or a pencil? Pen. Cool, pen. Anybody want to buy this pen for $1 million? Nobody, right? So I can sell this pen to every single one of you for $1 million in the next minute. Does anyone believe me? Good, one person.
I
okay.
believe in you.
Good. I'll do it right now. I will, and I have more of these. I will sell this and others like this for $1 million to any one of you. I'll let you borrow $1 million at no interest from me. After 1 year, I also will put $1 million into escrow to anyone you want. I'll put $1 million extra into escrow. So I'll let you borrow $1 million at no interest. I'll put $1 million into escrow, and your mom, your brother, whoever you trust. If you can't sell this pen at the end of this year for $2 million, I'll relieve you of your debt and release the $1 million to you. Does anyone want to buy this pen for $1 million? Right. Or can you see any reason you want one to buy the pen for $1 million? That's how sales are made. That's how I started selling, became the top salesman, became a millionaire 9 months out of law school, because I put things into quantifiable value, and I was really good at emotionally. If you can't, there's a lot of mathematical people out there that can do that. They can quantify, engineers, software developers. They'll go through the dollars for you, but there's no emotional attachment, and then you don't trust and like them. And the minute you don't trust and like them, the numbers become faulty. Where on the other side, if you get extreme trust and like, they're more apt to even believe your numbers. whether they're true or not. Now, that was a later on learning for me to make sure to be as truthful as possible and to provide value, not to oversell, back and sell, manipulate, and lie, which is what I did early in my career because I could emotionally attach to people, manipulate, lie, oversell, and back and sell the numbers, so I got deals because I knew the formula. Now it's much better to do things the right way and to truly work on productivity and accessibility.
Can we bring it back a little bit?
Yeah, we
Again,
have to.
So live.
Thanks, Omar.
David Meltzer. So tech pioneer, winning Humanitarian, former CEO of sports agency, author, top keynote speaker. Let's just bring it back. I mean, you talked about law school a little bit. Give a little context where this all started. There was the tech side, there was the sports agency side. Can you walk us a little bit through that to where we are now?
Yeah. I think now more than ever is a time to not limit your point of entry. If you look and see the paths of success, it comes from people that leave their options open. And so I was very directed towards making money. I grew up with a single mom, 6 kids, just wanted to be rich. Just wanted to be rich, not for me. I wanted to buy my mom a house and a car. So very focused. In fact, I would reverse engineer everything money-wise of how I could make the most money. So originally wanted to be a football player, always did everything I could every day to be a football player. Wasn't born with great talent, but got a scholarship, played football in college. The minute I got ran over by Christian Okoye, lying on the field, I said to myself, my mom's favorite saying, doctor, lawyer, or failure. So I decided I'd go to med school because doctors back then were really rich. Buy my mom a house and a car. Went to visit my brother, found out that doctors had to be in hospitals. I thought being a sports doctor meant I could hang out in locker rooms and sidelines. And that's a really important lesson, believe it or not, because I meet so many entrepreneurs, so many young people that want to be in my profession, and they'll say something like, oh, I want to be just like you. I ran the most notable sports agency in the world. They made the movie Jerry Maguire after my firm, and they'll literally, I just want to be just like you. I want to be a sports agent. And I can see it in their eyes. They know about as much of being a sports agent as I knew about being a doctor.
Sounds great.
It sounds great, yeah. So, but the lesson is, as entrepreneurs, be more interested than interesting. That's a very powerful statement. If you start meeting people beyond your profession, be more interested than interesting. When you're searching for something, when you're looking for something, when you're talking to someone, be more interested than interesting. Ask one more question, especially the question, do you know anyone that can help me? Which is a form of asking truly to be more interested by asking if anybody knows someone that can help you, expanding your network, expanding your knowledge. So much easier today with LinkedIn to ask people, do you know anyone that can help me? Because on average, we have 1,000 people that can help each, which is extraordinary, which we'll get into later. I then decided to be a lawyer. Once again, when I went to law school for one reason, to be rich. So what did I do? I did research on what are the highest paid professions out of law school, and it was oil and gas litigator, international lawyer. So I looked up the law schools, which law school had the best alumni, the most notable maritime law program, best oil and gas studies. I went to Louisiana to Tulane University because they have the top program of civil and common law. Literally, this is how I lived my life. I wasn't going to waste time with subjective matter. I wasn't just a guy that was full of great ideas. I was very focused on what I wanted, which was to make a lot of money. Graduated law school, and once again kept my options open. Another great lesson happened to me. I got a job offer to be an oil and gas litigator to make a lot of money right out of law school. Probably work. One thing I want to tell you, if any lawyers in here or people that are paid by the hour, do not be dumb enough to brag to your friends out of law school that you make $150,000 or $175,000, because I promise you, you don't. You don't. You work 2 or 3 jobs for $50,000 to $75,000. Right? I don't know any starting positions that have salaries for hourly employees where you're billable that literally you don't make that money. You're just working 2 or 3 jobs. And you're capped by the amount of hours you can work, by the way. So just something to think about if that's where your ego-based consciousness lies, because that's where mine lied. And that's what I wanted. Ironically, my maritime professor who took me to study in Greece worked for a company called West Publishing in 1992, and I got offered a job also to sell legal research online. There was 9600 baud modems. DOS was the operating system. Right. Most of you are way too young to understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking slow internet. People didn't even know what the internet was. It was .edu originally. And I asked my mom You know, how many of us at your age are asking your parents for advice about your professions? Anyone? How many parents are telling you advice about your profession? Anyone? Yeah, a lot more of us. Well, my mom told me when I asked her, what should I do, told me that without a doubt I need to be a real lawyer, that the internet was a fad, and I definitely should take that job. Once again, pragmatically, I looked at it and said to myself, my mom made me take the bar, even though I didn't need it, but I said to myself, you know what, I don't think the internet's gonna be a fad. I think it's gonna be a really big thing. And if it is, I can always go back to being a lawyer. So understood my economic risk, took that job, and like I said, 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. I bought my mom a house and a car. Emotionally, I really believe that money bought happiness. I really believed it. Truly believe money bought happiness. Anything I wanted, I could buy, and for someone that had nothing, it was really powerful. Through that journey, I was smart enough. We sold, in 1995, we sold West Publishing to Thomson Reuters for $3.4 billion. And that's when not many companies sold for $1 billion. So that set my young career as an executive in a different direction. I gained experience at Thomson as an executive. I tried to accelerate my career as much as I could by living anywhere in the country, taking every promotion. Another great piece of advice for entrepreneurs or people. You can be entrepreneurial within a large company, because that's truly what I was. Mm-hmm. I was using it as an entrepreneur. So one of the things I realized was when you're in an executive position and younger, old people don't like to move, right? They have kids and families and they don't like to move. Your advantage is you can move. So I lived in Indianapolis, I lived in Miami, I lived all these different places and would do anything to take the promotion because I ultimately wanted to be in San Diego. And my thought was, you know what, the guy in San Diego, he wants to be promoted in San Diego, but if I'm already a vice president, it's gonna be easier to be the vice president over him and move laterally if I do really well in a bad territory, right?
Yeah, smart.
I have power, right?
Yeah.
And so many people don't do that. They hang on and stay in the same place. When you're young and can do it, move laterally over. And ironically, I moved laterally into my sports position, as you'll find out. So end up branding myself as a technology guru. I literally barely knew how to use a laptop, but I knew all the critical business issues of technology. But I couldn't code. You know, I was fighting I'll be really candid. I hated Windows. I love DOS. And I was like fighting them, like, I don't want to use Windows. This thing will never work. WordPerfect 5.1. You guys don't even know what that is. But honestly, I resisted technology. That's how anti-tech I was, but I understand the critical business issues of it. By the way, I'm a huge Microsoft fan because I ended up running the first convergence device, smartphone, the first Windows CE device in the world, which is pretty ironic for me.
Right, launching the first smartphone, that's amazing.
Smartphone, and but I branded myself. I went to the Silicon Valley, I commuted to San Jose, and branded myself as a technology guru based on money. I literally went into Sand Hill Road and said, how many guys ran $17 billion of revenue in the internet? And they're like, what? There's no companies that did that. I said, oh yes, there is. It's called Westlaw. Yeah. We've been doing it for years. I know how to make money on the internet. And it made me really popular. I raised a lot of money. I learned how to raise money, which is, again, an emotional attachment, which to this day is probably one of the greatest skills that I have. So one of the reasons Leigh Steinberg hired me in 48 hours is because I had a great case history of success in being able to raise money. If you can raise money, it's an extremely powerful skill. Think about it. Think about how many of you in here want to meet me, talk to me, et cetera, because I can raise money or give you money. It's a really powerful thing. So I focused in on, if I'm going to be good at something, I want a direct path to revenue. You know, if you're a pitcher, you want to have a slider. You know, if you're not looking at what pitches you can throw. So as a business person, I knew that raising money was a huge thing, right? I'll never starve. Other people starve in bad times. I know how to raise money. And then your relationships build and build and build. It gets easier and easier to raise money. So I learned how to raise money. That's how I ended up.
What's one of the top lessons learned from, raising money in this early journey?
For sure, energy. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. So, does anyone have 20 bucks? Bring it up here. I'll show you exactly what I learned. You got 20? Oh, you're gonna beat him to it. He said first here.
I got the 20, but I don't want to.
So here's $100. Will you trade $100 for 20?
Of course.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right, here. Thank you. So that's the lesson I learned about raising money.
There you go.
So what does that mean? You're probably like, how the fuck do you raise money that way? You bribe people? No, I don't. Shoot, sorry, it's LinkedIn.
Is that real? Is that real 100?
I made it today, it's real. Second skill you really want, if you can't raise money, make it. No, I'm kidding. I do not do that. No, think about it. It's not just what you say, right? When I went through the credibility, the emotional attachment, quantified reasons, impacts, and capabilities to come to a logical conclusion, can you see any reason you don't want my 100 for your 20? Everybody in here is going, watch, I'll tell you, who here has another 20? Yeah, now everybody raise their hand. See what I'm saying? This is the lesson that I learned about raising money, is don't walk into a goddamn room unless you're holding the 100 and you're only asking for 20. Don't even walk into the room, right? I practice. I videotape myself on a VHS camera. You don't even know what that is. That was way bigger than these suckers. I watched myself. I did it in the mirror. I talked to my wife and see if she would buy my bullshit. Whatever it was, I had to practice it for two reasons. One, I needed to know 100% when I got to the point where I say, can you see any reason you won't want to invest $1 million, 10 million, 50 million? That not only did it make mathematical sense, but most importantly, I was carrying the energy with confidence the same way that there was no doubt that he was going to take my 100. Right? In my mind, there's an energy that I'm carrying. I actually still use as a practice today when I wake up, beyond saying thank you, beyond my meditation, one of the last practices I have, I close my eyes and think of the whole room filled with $100 bills and tell myself, my job's to give these away today and ask for $20. So my energy is like that. In fact, I use it in person. Some of you might even resonate with this story. I've walked into a family function and my mom literally looked right through me. And trust me, my mom overloves me. She thinks I'm way better than I am. My nephew, who loves me, barely smiled when I walked in. I left the room. I left the room and said, my energy's off. Right? There's something wrong. It had nothing to do with a business deal, right? I went outside and did my little trick, thought about the hundreds, felt a shift in my energy. I felt good about what I was doing. When I walked in, my mom actually turned around and felt me come in the room and lit up. My nephew ran up to, it was a completely different reaction. That's how you raise money. You need to pragmatically know the math, right? Don't lie to people. I got a guy try to raise money with me last week. I said, tell me, how much money have you made? Well, we're up 300% this year. I'm like, oh, so you made $1 last year and you made $3. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you would tell me how much money you made if it was good news. Or you're an idiot and I don't want to invest in idiots. Like literally, that's where I get to now, straight out. I want to know real facts. So if I'm going to present to you, I'm going to give you real facts. And I'm going to illuminate the things that I know are weaknesses. Because weaknesses put into different places can be strength. One thing I also know is I want to invest in somebody that knows the weaknesses and knows, hey, this is why I need your money. I'm not good at this. Or this is why I need your money because we don't have this person to do this. Or, right? Do not trust someone raising money that has all the answers and the answers are all either vague or good. Vague or good means no investment. But you definitely want to answer somebody. And I do the same thing on stage. There's a reason, I get the stages I get and I do as well as I do because I can stand on a stage in front of 7,000 people and they will line up for an hour to tell me you changed my life because I taught them to say thank you before they go to bed and when they wake up. And I'm not lying. I got videos. It's not what I say, it's how I say it. I'm able to connect to them at a frequency that it moves them. Right? We all know to say thank you, but we're going to forget every lesson we ever learned, but we have the capability of remembering it. I need to be the person that allows you to remember it and put it into action and be inspired to do it every day. And if I can teach you to be grateful every day, it's a huge value. More than $100 for 20.
You continue to lead, right? And you at Sports One Marketing right now. Could we talk a little bit about your current ventures with Sports One Marketing? We'll get into the book too, but what is your main value?
Yeah,
what your main business?
So after I left Leigh Steinberg, Warren Moon was my business partner there. We spun off Sports One Marketing originally just to be a sponsorship company, right? A notable one. We had so many great relationships with events, companies, and athletes. We were putting those together. I have a bug light approach to business. I didn't like representing the athletes. I'd rather pay Stephen Howard, NBA star back there. I'd rather pay him to come to dinner with me and invite all the rich people that I knew that I really wanted to do business with to come to dinner with me because they would come because he would come. So I used all the guys, Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Warren Moon, all the Hall of Famers I knew to create our business, to get all the money people with me, knowing that I could do business. Then it got narrowed down to just Warren. And then in marketing, in this marketing space, which is sponsorship, advertising, signage, license, all these different things we could do, hospitality, we could hand choose the biggest events in the world, the ones that we wanted to go to. My motto is make a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. So stayed very narrow, only in big deals, only in places I wanted to be, and only to help people. So everything had a charitable purpose or a cause tied to it. Well, the last 3 years, media became marketing. So I took the aspect of media and said, instead of selling, CarMax signage at, StubHub for the Chargers and a hospitality suite and making my 20% for doing that, right, and then getting Warren hired to go to the suite, and I had all these revenue streams from there. I'm a big vertebrae guy. I said, you know what's even more valuable than the 57,000 people, or sorry, StubHub, it's like 26,000 people there, is what if I took one of these, $500 cameras and I followed the CEO to the tailgate. I followed him onto the field when he got his field passes, up in the suite with all his high dealers and high net wealth people. And then I quickly converted it into three 30-second spots, a 3-minute spot. And we sent it out to every dealer, every person that was invited to the game, every person that couldn't make it to the game. Well, all of a sudden, that experience, number one, is portrayed or captured, amplified, and perpetuated in a higher value than it actually was when you were there. And millions of people see it, which now took a normal $100,000 deal and gave it $1 million worth of value. So that accelerated our business because we were the first to do that. And we ended up getting the rights to do shoulder content for Tencent in China for all the NBA, all the NFL, all of MLB, the ICC. And literally it was with cameras with this idea.
It feels authentic too, because you get to see what they're doing, and
and it was. And then I made the smartest move, which was I met a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk 2.5 years ago at the Super Bowl, and he was starting a sports agency and wanted me to help him with how to run and build a sports brother AJ.
You got the background, you got the network.
And it clicked in my head, dude, do not take money. So I said, Gary, I'll trade you. You know this digital media stuff. Do you think I can do what you do? I said, I have a different frequency, but do you think that like a middle-aged, overweight, boring guy can, like, people would listen to like inspirational stuff? Because to be honest, Gary, like, I'm different than you. I have a lot more experience and situational knowledge about things you don't, and I think people need to hear it, and I'd like to do it. And he's like, done, you'll be awesome. So Gary started to build my brand, teach me how to do what I do. Partner with him, and we still do stuff. But the coolest thing is, because he's a genius at that, is I got to share with him what I do well, and he shares what he does well. And literally, I started to not have to pay, Stephen Howard money to go to dinner with me because he wanted to learn from me, so he'll come for free. And so did everybody else. They wanted to take pictures with me. And I built a brand. And I can convert like this. I don't have to use a third party anymore. So we built Sports One Marketing to empower people to use as a bug light for deal flow. And I have a downstream of different ways to monetize that. So I have an executive coaching business, a business advisory business. I have a speaking business. We have a media company. We have still the sponsorship hospitality side. We still go to the Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, Masters, Kentucky Derby. So all of it, though, I have a TV show called Elevator Pitch to empower entrepreneurs, a top entrepreneurial podcast called The Playbook. All of those things.
You're doing a lot right now. You're doing a lot.
You would think so, but and one other thing is I don't work, right? I have activity I get paid for and activity I don't get paid for. I study how much activity I can get paid for that I love to do. Now, I don't naturally love to do any of this shit, right? And my wife told me the other day, you're so lucky, you always love what you do. I'm like, yeah, like somebody's gonna love selling legal research, talking to lawyers all day. Trust me, it took a lot of work to learn to love what I did. But I always took the time to learn to find the light in what I was doing, to get competitive, to consistently every day, persistently without quit, pursue my potential of it. And I got excited about it, just like I got excited about things that I naturally had an affinity for, like playing football. But I was a lot better at this stuff. And all of a sudden, I really do. I learned to love it. You will not do what you love, but you can learn to love everything you do. I can teach you how to learn to love to take the trash out. You can learn it. It's a learned behavior. To be inspired is to love. So if you can be inspired to do something by giving it a purpose or a passion, you will not have a purpose or a passion and to make it profitable. I prefer you to take what you think is the most profitable path that you can take and then apply a process that makes you passionate and purposeful about it, that makes you love it.
Right. What inspires you then?
Without a doubt. So what inspires me is to empower other people to empower other people. So my true mission in life is I think we have a happiness problem. I think most people don't get happiness. I read this research that people are on average happy 15 days a year. And number one cause of death for people under 50 is suicide. Opiate use is at an all-time ridiculous high. People are separate. They're not connected and they're not inspired. And so, literally what inspires me is I finally have figured out a way. I had 2 goals in life, was to change the world by giving peace or happiness to everyone and to make over $100 billion once Bezos did it. I cannot figure out how to make $100 billion. I just have to tell you that. I'm trying.
Yeah.
And I asked Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, I'm asking dudes hey, can you help me figure this out? But I swear to God, I figured out. Yeah. I did. Yeah. But no, I swear to God, I figured out how to make the world happy. And it's not that hard. So I believe that I have the capability to inspire and empower 1,000 people. And all I need to do is to empower those 1,000, to empower another 1,000 who will empower another 1,000. 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. If I can make 1 billion people happy, that's 1/8 the earth. I believe 1 particle of light overcomes 1 million particles of darkness. 1 billion people on earth that are happy every day. And I am. I'm happy every single day of my life, but not every moment of my life. Because I teach people the process of going back to center, understanding trajectory, ego, literally what ego consciousness does. And this may not sound entrepreneurial business-like. To me, my greatest success is that I know how to get back to center quickly and be very clear on the trajectory of what I want to do, which is make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. All the people I meet are so busy working, they're forgetting to make money. Look, there's activity you get paid for. Who here wants to get paid for their activity? Right? Then figure it out, right? Figure it out. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get paid to sleep. Not getting paid while I sleep. I get paid while I sleep. I can give you guys 6 different businesses that will pay you while you sleep. It's a great thing called technology. It's all over the place. But I literally want to figure out, okay, this is really valuable. I want someone to pay me to sleep. That's an activity that I'm getting paid for. We got to get you
sponsored by a pillow or a Serta or something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's why I talk about sleep all the time. I'm thinking somebody's going to pick me up. And I will give you, pragmatic advice. I have a different skewed vision of things, but if you're not studying sleep, you're a moron. Literally, 1/3 of your life, most people, are spent sleeping. When we're sleeping, it's the only time that we're truly maturating our subconscious and unconscious mind. The subconscious and unconscious mind have a higher and greater control of what you get in your life, right? It is truly allows you to shop at a different level than what we think, say, and do. At the conscious level, you can buy things with American Express or cash, right? So money's your currency at the pragmatic level. So when you think, say, and do things, it's about manifesting what you want from Amazon. Right? And I think that people don't understand that. They're not focused. They're lying to themselves. Money does not buy happiness. Right? Money does not buy happiness, but it allows you to shop. And if you shop for the right things, you'll be super happy. If you shop for the wrong things, you won't be happy. I've lived it. I lost over $100 million portfolio because I was shopping for the wrong things. Right? Last year for my 50th birthday, I bought 2 community centers in Africa. I've never been more fulfilled, inspired, and purposeful. I'm shopping for the right things. Let me explain how it works. If you stay focused on profitability, making money with what you do, your activity, utilizing sleep, studying it, getting better at it, using the subconscious, not only, right, if you have a green card, you can only buy so much. Right? There's a limit, right? There's an interference or corrosion of the connection of how much you can buy on Amazon. If you have a platinum card, you can buy more. If you have a black card, you live in a world of more than enough. It's unlimited. Unlimited. Same thing happens with faith, but we don't understand faith. Faith is a currency just like money. It's an energy or an object that you put into the flow to manifest what you want. The difference is you use your subconscious, which are the 40,000 the same thoughts running around in your mind, your beliefs, And more importantly, your beliefs affect your personality traits, your characteristics, obsessions, and addictions, which are what create the energy that you put out there.
Let's talk about your beliefs. I mean,
Yeah.
you have the core values I think a lot of people know about, but let's break that down, right? So you have gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication.
Dude, you
right?
come work for me now.
Yeah, listen, I just, no problem. Let's break that down, though. I mean, the perspective is the first part of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
break it down for us.
gratitude gives you perspective. Simply just say thank you. You don't have to do anything in your life. You get to do it, period. Think about it that way. I get to do this, and find out why you get to do it. So if you're coming home late and you've missed your kids all day and your wife says you got to go pick up your 15-year-old, it's, I got to go pick her up? No, I get to go pick her up, right? I get to go do this. You have the choice to be happy. You have a choice to get to do everything. Put yourself into the mindset, change your mindset, change your life. Change your mindset, change your business. Change your mindset, make more money. Change your mindset, that's the belief, and it's all based on gratitude. Gratitude makes your past better, your present even better than that, your future brighter every time. It's the most powerful thing that you hold, simply by saying thank you for everything that you've attracted to yourself. The second one is forgiveness. Empathy.
Yep.
Right? You know, the reason forgiveness is so important is life is just about lessons. That's all this life is about. We're learning lessons to expand and accelerate. So the lessons are going to keep on coming. The same lessons are going to keep on coming until you learn them. The thing that is manifested from that is called pain. If you keep on getting the same pain, then you haven't learned the lesson. So let's figure out the lesson. The funny other thing about lesson, why forgiveness is so important, is that you have to forgive yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. You will forget every lesson you learn, like I said, but you have the capability of remembering it. So the empathy gives you peace. Perspective is given by gratitude. Empathy or forgiveness gives you peace. That allows you to make crucial decisions to move in the trajectory that you want. Accountability gives you control of your life. It's counterintuitive to think, but if you're accountable for everything in your life, two questions to ask. What did I do to attract this to myself? What am I supposed to learn from it? That makes every mistake a miracle. Right there. Every single mistake of yours, through gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability, every single mistake that you feel and beat yourself up over, sleepless nights, stomach aches in the morning, all the different things that ego-based consciousness does to you, they're gone. You have complete control. Don't confuse liability with accountability. People are still liable for things. We live at this vibration. Somebody hits you from behind in your car, go ahead and collect from your insurance. They're liable. Don't tell anyone you're accountable. They'll get confused and you won't get your payment. Understand what accountability is. The last thing, effective communication, is just an indicator of inspiration. We have a happiness problem. People aren't happy because they don't understand the interference that they're creating to being connected to the most powerful source ever. All of you are connected to me. All of you are connected to an unbelievable source that holds a field of everything for everyone that has existed in the past and will exist in the future. It always exists. And it's hard the younger you are to understand, but if I met Jeff Bezos 25 years ago and he told me, yeah, Dave, I'm going to be a 100 billionaire. I'm going to own the biggest marketplace in the world. I'm like, dude, you have a bookstore in your garage. And I'm an optimist. I could not fathom that that existed. $100 billion, the biggest marketplace in the world, starting from a garage for book sales? I don't even think people buy books. And I got the #1 bestseller.
I think we did.
Yeah, thank you. That's how I get it done.
Yeah.
All you people, right? No, but honestly, think about, put
crazy.
yourself in that perspective. In just 25 years, my reality has completely shifted. Why? Because my faith now is in a different place. His faith was already there. Right? I get that. Like, faith is the aggregate of what we think, say, do, believe, and the unconscious competencies of our personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, and addictions. Which means what? We have to learn to effectively communicate with each other, but more importantly, with what inspires us. We got to be inspired first. That's why you have to go back to center and be inspired, because if you think you live in a world of not enough, you do, and you're a victim. Everything will happen to you. And it's a horrible place to be, no matter if you're an entrepreneur, business person, whatever you are. Do not live in the world of not enough. A lot of people live in the world of just enough, right? I was one of them. Everything happens for me. I'm an optimist. Don't worry, everything's for me. There's only so much for you. But if you want to live in a world of more than enough, then everything will come through you for others. All that energy, all the value, it comes through you. Talk about getting excited about, most people love to give. Anybody here love to give? Yeah. most people have a problem. They love to receive, but they have a problem receiving. They feel an ego-based emotion called guilt, insecurity, inferiority for asking for help and feeling like somebody's helping them. We have an ego-based emotion that actually creates a corrosion or an interference into what connects us to that which inspires us. Therefore, we're living in a world of just enough for me because we're afraid, we're separate, we're inferior. Giving is awesome, but you got to learn to receive. Because the more you receive, once I took that switch, after I lost all my money and said, wait a second, I'm good at making money. It wasn't an accident I made that much money right out of law school. I don't have any problem making it. My problem is I feel guilty. I feel not worthy of what I have.
How do you make that switch? I mean, my wife's always saying that, you're doing all these things for these other people, but you're not getting,
That's the question.
So,
how do you do it? 2 questions, change your life. Number 1, ask people how you can be of service and value.
This book is like, we want to talk about the book,
It's waterproof.
Yeah.
Another great
Special
value to buy the
edition.
book.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, what value am I bringing? And more importantly, I can't give what I don't have. So the minute I start shifting my value, my paradigm into value of, man, the more I get, the more I can give. Right? When I set my goal, and I actually take my emotions out of my distribution, out of my gifting, because I don't want my guilt, my emotions to be involved. So what does that mean? That I actually predetermine at the beginning of the year, this percentage goes to my wife, this percentage goes to the girls. I have 3 daughters and my baby boy. He gets more than the girl. No kidding. All right.
Just ratted yourself out.
He's giggling. Then to my mom, then to the rest of my family, then to my business, then to my community, then to my country, then to the world. Therefore, it's just percentage of what I can come in. Now my main focus is how much can I downstream into those places? How empowering can I be? How can I inspire all these people? What can I do with that? And the same thing goes with my time, right? The 4 other things that go into this as advice, number 1 thing you got to learn is gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication. Live an inspired, happy life. 2, ask, right? If you're going to write something down from what you learned today, it's simply, do you know anybody that can help me? I'm on LinkedIn, man. Do you know anyone that can help me? I'm trying to sell more books. Do you know anyone that can help me? I'm trying to help junior achievement. Do you know anyone that can help me? I'm trying to empower more people to be happy. Do you know anyone that can help me? Whatever it is, give somebody the opportunity. Because of LinkedIn, on average, most people have 1,000 people that when you ask, do you know anyone that can help you? That can help you. When I was young, everybody had like 4 or 5 people, and you had to go either to your church or your temple or to your boys club or your men's group or your foursome, and then you'd be like, oh, dude, I got a really good friend, he needs help. And you'd be able to ask those 4 guys, and if you were lucky, one of them would be like, oh, I'll help him for you. Not anymore. Not anymore. If you're not asking, do you know anybody who can help me? You're losing a huge power. 1 person a day, you don't even have to know them. I could ask a pre-question. Hey, dude, you got LinkedIn? Yeah. Good. Do you know anyone who can help me? Bam, 1,000 people. If I do that for 30 straight days, I've increased my network, my ask 30,000 people. If I do it twice a day, if I do it in person on the phone, right, it's 60,000. If I do it in person on the phone and on email, boom, 90,000. If I add in social media, right, radio, print, TV, or media, it doesn't matter, 120,000 people. 120,000 people. If I do it 4 times a day, it's almost 500,000 people. That's 6 million people in a year. If you suck, you're going to get 60 people. That's 5 people a month. More than 1 new deal a month. 5 people a month. Simply, I will tell you, asking, like you got to live your life in these 4, but asking is the biggest problem. Everywhere. I blow it. I was with the CFO when I was speaking at Rise. I was with the CFO of Uber, and I had this great conversation. Didn't ask him a goddamn thing. I'm sitting there going, oh, you hypocrite. You sit there preaching all day long to kids to ask and people to ask. I didn't ask. Yeah. I have to have an ask. Right? And I know and I feel good about my ask because it's just to go help other people. So if you can learn those, then there's 2 more things to learn. You ask, be a student of your calendar. Don't look at your calendar, study your calendar every day or something that holds your time. 24 hours of man-made constructive time a day. Look at it with a lens of productivity and accessibility. I have a 5-20 rule. I keep my phone calls, try to keep them to 5 minutes. I keep my meetings to 20 minutes. Why? Because you're just visiting after that. And if I'm going to schedule visiting, I'm going to visit with people that I really, really like, not people I don't know. right? My wife shook my world one time. I'm literally at dinner and she looked at me going, why do you treat people that you don't even know better than you treat me? And the truth is, I started thinking about like, yeah, why am I visiting with this dude? I have a gorgeous wife, 3 gorgeous daughters, and a son sitting right in front of me. I barely know this guy. I don't need to visit with you. I'll take the 5 minutes to make money. Ask you, do you know anyone who can help me? Or can you see any reason you don't want to do business with me? But I'm not visiting. Right? Ironically, within 5 minutes and 20, you can get a little bit of visiting, make the emotional connection, but I'm not there. If I make it, I'm studying it, and I'm productive, number one, and accessible. What does productive mean? You try to give as much value, produce as much value as you can out of everything you do. Look at it with that lens. Like, how productive am I going to be driving to work? How productive am I going to be coming there tonight? And those asks will start coming to you. And 2, accessibility. Right? Look at it with the lens of accessibility. How accessible am I to others? You'll start doing things differently to be more accessible, to help more people. And 2, how am I accessing what I want? Because if I can access I want more efficiently, effectively, statistically successful, I can help other people be more efficient, effective, and statistically successful. What does that mean? I can make more money, help more people, and have more fun. What pisses me off is people say, oh, I didn't call you because you're busy. No, people that sleep are busy. They're busy. They're unavailable. I'm not busy. I'm accessible and productive. Right? And I'm going to drive to do that to help people.
Right.
The fourth and last thing that you want to do, so you got gratitude, empathy, accountability, effective communication. You got to ask. Ask. Student of your calendar with the lens of productivity and accessibility. And then finally, do it now. Period. It's a rule in my life. First question that goes through my mind, he asked me to do something, you asked me to do something, can I do it now? If I can do it now, I do it immediately. I do it immediately because it saves you at least twice as much time and it makes you exponentially statistically successful. If we don't do something now, your chances diminish exponentially as you don't do it. We forget all the time, and 2, it keeps taking more and more time to get it done. Okay? Mm-hmm. So what do we do with the stuff you can't do now? It goes into a do it now folder. Via being a student in my calendar, I actually schedule the free time to go and look at what's in my Do It Now folder. I prioritize by what's important and urgent first, right? Important first. If it's urgent and not important, I hand it off, right? Remember, something is urgent but not important, hand it off. You'll save a ton of time. If it's not important, you know, my wife needs milk. You got a driver's license? Here's some money, go get milk. That's urgent. Right? I want to make sure, not important.
Let's change gears a little bit. Let's do this now. Let's hype up the book, right?
Yeah.
I've been reading it. I really like it. I mean, I like the way you lay it out too. I mean, you're a sports guy. You talk about a little bit of pregame, a little postgame, and then a little meat and potatoes in between. But I mean, you're talking with Bill. I like you're using talks with Bill Parcells. Who else you got? Bill Russell, Paulo Ono, Kobe Bryant. So,
John Wooden.
Yeah, lessons from them in this book. But what else are people going to get out of this book that maybe they picked up tonight?
Yeah, I think making decisions is a very difficult thing. People don't understand it. They don't understand that it's really inherently the decisions are made by what happens beforehand. Right? So we want to look at the assumptions that you make, right? If you're more interested than interesting, what help that you've got. There's ways to make great decisions and a perspective in making decisions. So I go through in the book utilizing our favorite sports people, because that's who I'm around, the lessons that I've learned, to give very complex analysis.
The guys at the top of their game.
To make it simple so that, I believe I'm a transcoder. I can take highly complex information and turn it into telling a story. And those stories are fun, but people get the lesson. And so I've always learned, tell people what the lesson they're going to learn. That's the pregame. Then I tell the lesson through a story, a sports story. And then postgame is I remind them of the lesson that they've learned. Because I know, right, we're going to forget every lesson we learn anyway. So give them more access to remember it. Mm-hmm. But the critical part of it is I go through a continuum. And these are the lessons, and you'll read it to truly engage with it. There's a continuum of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. So the conscious mind is this: what we think, say, do, and believe in that conscious mind, and it's really regulated by how hard you work, how smart you work, But where people, in the lessons in the book about decision making, is you have to have a perspective of how long. And not time-wise, right? People don't look long at things. The very successful people, like Sean Patel, who's here, Mark Cuban's partner who was on Shark Tank and makes millions of dollars with his SAT course, he's a long thinker. I grew up with nothing. Let me explain what long is real fast, because it's very valuable lesson.
And then we'll get a little Q&A in a little bit too.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no,
rambling.
I don't.
Am I rambling too much? Are you learning anything? All right, cool. Here's what happens. You're 20 years old, you have a dream. 10 years goes by, right? When you start your dream and drop out of college and tell your mom that you're going to start a SAT course, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. You got a perfect score on your SAT, or in Harvard, and now you're dropping off because you're going to start a SAT course because you realize this is your passion and your purpose, and most importantly, it's going to be really profitable. But 10 years into it, you're 25% of the way there. Now your mom, dad, friends are like, oh, poor Sean Patel. Perfect score on his SAT, and he's a loser. Unemployed entrepreneur, always trying to raise money for that stupid SAT course. He's been trying to sell that book for 10 years on, publishers in New York. Nobody wants his book. But Sean Patel is really bright. And so he's looking at the last 10 years going, man, I've learned a lot. I've accelerated and grown a lot. I have momentum. Yeah, I'm only 25% of the way there. Now, Sean Patel, with that perspective, he's in the 1%. 99% of the people through those 10 years quit. They're not into evolution, they're looking for a revolution, and business is not a revolution, it's an evolution. So he's learning. Here's the funny thing, 5 years from now, Sean's 35 years old, and he's 50% of the way there. Out of that 1%, 99% of those people quit again. Because now everybody's on him, and he probably has a girlfriend, and she's like, we want to get married, but you're living on your mom's couch or in your car, sacrificing everything that you've had. I'm breaking up with you, and the whole universe is telling him no, 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 no. But he said, man, it took me 10 years to get that far, but now it's only taking me 5 years to get to 50%. Now that 1% of the 99% of the 99% that's left, they know the magical thing, which is they're only 2.5 years from being 100% of the way there. So now Sean's 37.5, and he's 100% away where he said he would be. And everyone's like, oh man, he's lucky. He's making 6 figures in a business. He's an entrepreneur. He's his own boss. I'm stuck in this law job for the last 17 years. I graduated from Harvard, and I'm still making, $175,000 a year, but I work 3 jobs, and I finally figured that out, right? My wife's divorced me because I've never had time for him. My kids don't know my name. He's doing pretty well at 37.5. But what's really cool is a year and a quarter later, he's 200% of the way there. And in 3/4 of a year, he's 400 and 800. And by the time he's 40 years old, the hockey stick is going. By the time he's 51 and old like me, he's a multi-millionaire with everything. And everyone's like, he's the luckiest guy in the world. Overnight success. Overnight success. One of my best friends invented Pictionary. Drives him crazy because everyone's like, dude, you're so lucky. You're an overnight success. He's like, besides the 17 years that I was trying to figure out how to make millions of dollars with a piece of paper and a pencil, sitting at the bottom of the escalators at Nordstrom saying, please try out my word game. Overnight success. I'm an overnight success except I lost $100 million in between. Overnight success. Look, you have to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. That's it. Enjoy it. How do you do it? With gratitude, empathy, accountability, effective communication. Ask people for help. Be a student of your calendar and do it now. Very simple. However long it takes, just make sure you're focused not on attaching your emotions or happiness to an outcome, to the journey of getting faster and stronger. If you consistently get faster and stronger, you're going to beat everyone. If I could do it in sports, I could run a 10-minute mile. You could run a 5-minute, 1-second mile with your dream of breaking 5 minutes like Roger Bannister dreamed of breaking 4 minutes. Well, it's just a matter of time. If I keep getting faster and stronger, that even though I start at 10-minute mile, I'll walk him. And he'll still be stuck at 5 minutes and something because he'll put a resistance, a brake on that number because his whole happiness is on one outcome. Mine's on acceleration and growth.
Evolving, right, essentially.
Learning lessons. That's how we evolve.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mike, do we have any questions on LinkedIn we could hit first, and then we'll pass the microphone around. But anything coming in with the comments on LinkedIn that we could hit David with?
David, by the way, great job. I got one question here. We'll kick this thing off. For the entrepreneurs in the audience, what advice would you give them to grow their business?
First of all, the biggest piece of advice to be an entrepreneur is stay in business. Like, don't get outside your box. I wake up still today every morning as an entrepreneur, and I look to guarantee my success by saying, I guarantee I'm in business tomorrow, now I can move to the next step. Knowing that it's just like your heartbeat. The only way this body dies is when the heart stops. Only way a business dies, you don't stay in business, you run out of money. So my first objective every day, no matter what's in my bank account, is can I guarantee I'm in business tomorrow? Therefore, just like Jeff Bezos, you can evolve, you can learn the lessons, you can do things that nobody else has ever dreamed of. You can change history by creating it, change perspectives by doing it. That's truly the thing about being an entrepreneur, is staying in business and then utilizing to grow those 4 things that I taught you. Try to learn and accelerate and grow as much as you can by learning as many lessons as you can. Turn every one of your mistakes into a miracle, and ask for help. Don't think that there's some shame in going to the smartest person you know that sits in the situation that you want to be in and saying, hey, how do I do this? Right, I'm cashing up right now, and I'm only going to ask one person, right? I'm going to go to Warren Buffett and say, hey, can you tell me when the market's oversold and what I should buy? Because I figure no matter how hard, if I change my career right now, start studying the markets, there's no way in my lifetime that I'm going to know what Warren Buffett knows about that. It's just like when I wrote my first book. I love Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read the book Think and Grow Rich, read the book Think and Grow Rich. It will make you money. It's a great book to buy. Great book. But when I wrote my book, I went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and said, I want to write a book like this. Can you please help me? And they said, sure. And I went through my outline with them. They talked about it. Bam. That's why the book's good, right? I went to people. I didn't have to make all the mistakes that Carnegie Mellon and Napoleon Hill made all those years. I just went through that.
You talk about also asking for help. I mean, you talk a lot about mentorship and having 3 mentors. Can you elaborate on that? And
yeah, I think it's important for everyone to have at least 3 mentors, people that sit in the situation that they want to be in, for whatever it may be. It can be something emotional, right? My wife can mentor me in some things, right? Because she's really good at certain things that I'm not. I think it's also, no matter what age you are, you should be mentoring at least one person. I record all my mentoring sessions. I was telling Alex Eisman, who's a big developer, I'm like, I actually learn more than anything else I do by listening to my own. Because I believe everything that I am supposed to learn is within myself. So how many times are we giving advice to our friends and we're full of shit because we literally are going, God, I wish I would have listened to that. That's genius. Like all the time. Right? You want to try speaking on stages, you can be the biggest hypocrite in the world like me going, that's a great idea, dude. Like literally, I mean, I'll be honest, I tell people all the time, I was on stage for 9 months telling people you can change your life by saying thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up for 30 straight days, right? And it took me 9 months to do that. Right? I'm still on stage going, shit, I missed 2 days last year. But it's working for me at 28 days. I'm sure 30 days will work better. But literally, listen to yourself. All the lessons that you have to learn are truly within us. And when you're looking at other people, they're just a mirror of yourself. So if you find something really disgusting or hateful or scary about someone else, think about why it is, because that's what you're afraid of, right? I used to hate my father because he was a manipulator, a liar, an exaggerator, an overseller, a back-end seller, otherwise a great salesman. And I hated that about myself. I still know it's an unconscious competency that I have, so I have to be very careful and forgive myself when I do it, but I do it so much less than I used to do it, and I'm just honest with myself in that respect.
You want to open it up to the crowd? I mean, you guys came here to ask some questions. Yeah.
Charlie, before you do that, if you could stand up and just project really loud, that'd be great.
Sure. Hey, I'm Max. Thank you so much for being here today. My question is more about, as someone who's been involved in so many different businesses, how do you know when the right time to sort of get out of one and move on to another? Like, what's something you can look towards throughout your career as something that's been, all right, it's time, like, I want to do my own thing?
Yeah, so not necessarily my own thing, but I'm always looking to upgrade, right? That's why I didn't get married until I found the highest upgrade I could find, because I didn't want to go through my marriage the same way I go through businesses. So for me, I move on. A business is a vehicle to make money, help people, and have fun. I build every business so it won't need me, right? So the minute I can get to a business where it doesn't need me anymore, that's why I have multiple businesses. then I'm looking to do something that's going to make more money, help me grow more, but still maintain what I've left behind. Now, I do sell businesses and buy businesses because sometimes they don't need me, but yet somebody else can make it grow. There's all types of different options. But how do you move on is even a bigger question. This is a lesson that I learned that's really valuable. Too many people, they're in something that they don't particularly like, and they're looking for something better. So they start a side hustle or they have something on the side. Let me give you the advice. That's okay, but when you're in that position, double down on what you're doing. Before you can do the side hustle, you can grow, but if you really want to take advantage of a side hustle, if you want something else to do, then challenge yourself to, number one, learn to love what you're doing right now, even more. Do it twice as fast for twice as much money. Be the first one in, not the last one. Because what happens, unfortunately, is by looking outside of what we have today and putting faith into something that isn't there, is you start putting faith into the wrong things. So what happens is this side depreciates, and then we really limit the opportunities. If you can double what you're doing in front of you, be more passionate and love it, double the amount of money you're making in half the amount of time, you're going to have more opportunity and options. But if you start focusing over here, it's not going to be enough to get this going. You're going to have half as much money, right? This is what I see people all the time. So when they're telling me that they want to move on, I'm like, good. Let's get really good at what we're doing right now. Now, not everybody can double the amount they're making. A lot of people can do it in half the time, which is really important if you want to do something else. When you start getting laser focused, be a student in your calendar with the productivity and accessibility, that's like making money. So the time when you can move on and grow to something better and leave what you had better than you found it, right? I have a general statement: be kind to your future self. So don't leave a business that isn't going to be kind to your future self. Right? The businesses that I have left, right? My goal and my passion is to leave those. Now, the cool thing about what I'm doing now is I'm not leaving them. I'm just making them so they don't need me. Right? I still, and the same for Warren. Like if you looked at our daily involvement 11 years ago when we started Sports One Marketing and how many days either of us are in the office, but yet that business is more successful than it's ever been and makes us more money than I literally was spending like 16 hours a day on it. Also, beat the system with math. When you look at things as activity you get paid for or not paid for, people say, well, how'd you make $1 million in 9 months? I'll tell you how. I had a $250,000 a year job, but I worked 10 years. People are like, what are you talking about? Well, this is how I did it. I don't think I was the best salesperson, but the way that I looked at it was this. The average guy has 8 hours of productivity in a day. What if I could be productive for 16 hours? I don't have a family. I was single, right? Stay lazy. I'll beat them at least with math that way. So now I got a $500,000 job a year. Right? Just by doubling the amount of time that I was going to work. Then I said, okay, what if I could be twice as efficient? Start really studying, being a student in my calendar. How can I do things in half the amount of time? Well, now I have 16 hours of productivity times 2, 32 hours of productivity. Now, what if I could become more statistically successful? How do you do that? 1, close more deals percentage-wise, or get more deals and not be as good as a closer. Well, I knew I was very young, never had a real job, right out of law school. These guys have been selling for years. They're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They were seasoned, and they had relationships with the customers for years. So I was going to beat them with availability. I knew I couldn't close at the percentage that they did. So if they were getting 10 deals a week available to them, I was going to get 40 deals a week because my closing ratio would be lower, but statistically I'm more successful. I closed twice as many deals every week. But I was 32 hours of productivity. That means every day I was 64 hours of productivity every day. And then I said I'm going to work 7 days a week. It wasn't work to me. It was activity I was getting paid for. So what does that equal? Right? If you're working 8 days a week, 7 days, eight productive days, right? In one day, right? 64 hours is 8 days of productivity in one day times 7 days. 56 days a week. So in 9 months, I worked 10 years.
That's the hustle, right?
Straight
there.
math. Yeah. It's straight math. Yeah. I beat them with no goddamn talent. I worked hard, I worked smart, and I worked long. I had a long vision. I did it, and I sacrificed. I sacrificed I was 25 years old and a millionaire because I sacrificed and was willing to sacrifice everything to buy my mom a house and a car. I actually prayed to God my last year in law school before I had any jobs that if somebody would give me a job that paid off my law loans, bought my mom a house and a car, that I would shovel shit with my hands 6 days a week, 12 hours a day with gratitude. That's how much I wanted it. I also met Renee Wang, right, that started her company in Hong Kong, literally got her job at Google by lying about her first name so she could apply every 2 weeks instead of once every 6 months. 4 years, works her way up to like the highest level of any young lady at Google. Dream job if you're from China, and tells her parents, you know what, I'm quitting my job, selling my house, selling my car, and investing into my business. Now she has a $13 million business because she was willing to sacrifice. No, I'm not all in anymore. I'm not all in. I'm just extremely productive and accessible. Very, very efficient. I still beat people with math, but in that time, I travel the world. I spend time with my family. I've overlapped so many different things that I have time to do this, right? But I'm not doing what I did right out of law school. No way, right? I just changed my values.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
David, by the way, great to see you again. I don't know whether you recall
I did.
Entrepreneurs Live last year.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm subscribed to David's newsletter, which is terrific. You should get subscribed to the newsletter. The question that I had.
Who's paying you to be here?
Absolutely. No, you talked about upgrade, and I think it's relevant to us and maybe a sweet spot for you. We were essentially making seasons tickets affordable to people, the greatest fans who can't afford them, right? And it's more sales for the league and the teams as well. And we see teams and leagues appreciate what we are doing in terms of the technology, but they're never quite ready to sign on the dotted line. So you can think of it as an upgrade of us as a startup company trying to do a deal with the iconic league or a team. So what would be kind of your tactical execution advice in signing that upgrade?
Yeah, so two things are that come to mind in this business model because I'm in the sports world. Know your customer, right? Know your customer. So before I start a business doing anything to sell into the NFL, to sell into MLB, to sell into StubHub or whoever these partners is, know the customer and know the resistance of the customer, right? Understand the sales cycle of the customer. I'll give you an example. Because I knew the resistance that you get dealing with big teams, leagues, organizations, et cetera, I know the sales cycle. And so I know there's only one way to get around being put into the long stack, right? Because nobody gets hit up more about deals like this than they do. And then it takes time because they have turnover and everyone has a culture of cover your ass, which means I'm not going to make that decision. And very few teams, leagues, organizations have that type of culture where they take those risks. And if they do, you have to go through the accelerator program. So what did I do? I said, okay, people wanted a deal with Major League Baseball. Well, that's too long. What if I did a deal with Clemente? Right? Most people, do you ever hear of the Clemente Award? Most people would think the Clemente Award is one of the highest honors in Major League Baseball. So if companies want to be an endorsed company of Major League Baseball, want to align itself with Major League Baseball, I went and did a deal with Clemente. Why? Because it's not a Major League Baseball or BAM regulated mark. It has the highest of honors. It carries the same weight as putting the MLB guy, maybe even higher now, with over 50% of the league being Latin, right? And the fans being Latin, and the world baseball community gracefully being Latin. Wow. And guess what? If I represented the Clemente family, I could make money by representing the Clemente family and make a commission by the companies, and they'll think I'm a genius because Dave Meltzer got a deal for 1/10 the cost of MLB with the greatest honor in MLB in 1 week. When we try to use this company over here that's world renowned, it's been 2 years to try to get my deal done. And they've charged me every month. Right? Same thing with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not an NFL mark, but yet it's the greatest players in the NFL. There's all kinds of different tricks. It's the emotional attachment, right? Do not keep doing the same things if you keep getting the same results. If you're creating resistance with your business model, then use my model of spending your money to pay Warren Buffett, right? If I'm going to invest my money, I'm going to pay whatever it costs to whatever charity it is so I can sit down with Warren Buffett so he can tell me what it is. I'm going to make my focus laser trajectory on who's the decision maker at that team and what do I have to do to, one, get credibility with him, two, an emotional attachment so I can explain to him, which you do have because I know your business, you have quantitative reasons, impacts, and capabilities. You're stuck in the big pile. Literally, your business is stuck in this pile. It's like getting internships or jobs with me. The ones that get jobs, they're not in the big pile. Somehow they got over here in the little pile and they got credibility, emotional attachment, reasons, impacts, and capabilities of why, right? Could be a relationship, right? Their dad works for LinkedIn and I want to have my stuff promoted on LinkedIn. You know, I'll do, most likely if I give his kid a job, maybe I'll get a meeting at LinkedIn. There's tons of different ways to go about things and people do them. There's a reality, and you know, we should reunite because I would love to do some business advisory with you to give you, knowing where you're at today now, a few tricks of the trade to accelerate that for you.
You good with that?
Consider it done.
All right.
All right, cool. Cool. Of course.
So thanks for today, by the way. I just wanted to say I admire the way that you control the room, and so I assume that a lot of when you go into business deals or sales meetings, or you're trying to convince someone of something in business, it's a lot of the same for you, that you are in a way controlling that room, and that's probably one of your goals. So can you just talk about a specific situation where the deal was tough, you weren't sure if it was going to go through, you really had to put in a lot of work to make it happen, and what you did to overcome that wall or that barrier to actually make that deal happen?
Yeah, so first of all, time, right? Understand the construct of time when you're in a deal to control a deal. So the deal is controlled always on the front end of the deal for me. So it's 5 steps. 1, what did I do to stimulate interest? 2, what did I do to transition interest? 3, how did I share the vision to prepare for, you know, a shared vision is a verbal yes, right? But that means nothing, right? You're 20% of the way there. 80% is managing and developing the vision. So I create either on paper or verbally a go, no-go plan. I manage expectations that this is what's going to happen. At this time, you're going to say yes or no, that we move forward. This time, right? So just these baby bites of consistent behavior. I also utilize my legal skills of open and closed-ended questions. So if I get caught in a resistance situation, I might stop, back out, shift energy, right? And then refocus in by asking an open-ended question. You know, what are you doing today? Is a good question that you can ask. When someone's frustrated in a point of a negotiation, tell me about that. What are you doing today? Because you can see they're frustrated. Learn about the resistance. Let them go ahead, right, as a cathartic behavior. And then what you do is come back with closed-ended questions and say, well, wouldn't it help you if you were able to do this? You know, wouldn't it help you? You know, this ticket situation is one that I'd probably use it because I understand the resistance to change. So I can say, what do you guys do today with excess tickets? You know, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Well, would it help you if I was able to, right on a phone, be able to give you a 12% increase in the amount of tickets that you sell, building your brand as well as your customer base with a younger audience that will be future fans, which here exponentially I have these numbers that will show you how much more in ticket sales that you're going to have. Right, and when you go to open-ended and closed-ended questions, like allow them to tell you what they're doing today, what they like about it, what you don't like about it, and then use closed-ended questions, which are questions that answer yes or no, which basically say, wouldn't it help you if, or what about if this happened? Would that be of value to you? Yes, 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 yes. Always putting number to it, and then you've reduced all the resistance and simply say, can you see any reason you won't want to move forward from what you told me? You can absolutely change that. Other things in early on, it doesn't necessarily have to go into tough situations. And I use that, believe it or not, on my TV show Elevator Pitch. There's so many big egos with, you know, Bogner from Undercover Boss and the director of Osborne's and, you know, the entrepreneur guys. And everyone had all these different interests and they're going through. And the better the TV show did, the more everybody was scarce and wanted their piece. And I literally used that exact technique and just said, oh, wait, hold on, what is it that you actually want? Right? Why do you feel that way? What did you like about that? Well, you know, and I find light in people too, because we get emotional and all of a sudden they're telling me, oh, we don't need this producer, we don't need this. Terrific. I agree. We don't need anyone. But what does he bring to the table? Let's talk about what he does bring to the table, right? What am I doing? I'm drawing the light out, right? One particle of light overcomes a ton of darkness. When we get and shift the energy again to think about the positives and the value, all of a sudden it's amazing how quickly people can change their opinion.
You're listening, hearing them, and then communicating with them.
Yeah, and like even early on in sale, like I said, one of the valuable lessons, I love to teach like simple ones that I wish I would have known when I was your age. Remember, if you leave a message, please remember this. You will save yourself so much money and time. How many people have left voice messages before? Okay. Has anyone ever been able to sell off of a message? Like someone listened to your message like, dude, send me the contract. Okay. I've never had, literally, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, even millions of people now online. No one's ever told me, dude, I left this message and it was amazing. They asked me to email the paperwork. So don't do it. Don't sell on a phone call. You have one objective of leaving a message. Get them to call you back. All your messages should change. It'll save you time. Make sure also energetically you tell yourself this is resistant free. Right? This is effortless. This is resistant free. Like put energy into your message when you leave it. You don't want to be a salesperson in my office and come into my office and say, this guy can't get on the phone. I've been trying to get him for 3 weeks. Why? Because my first step is I'm all terrific, get his number. I will sit here and go, he will be available. Effortless, resistant free. I put it out there. Right now, people say, you're crazy, woo-woo, Hindu, whatever you want to call me. I'll say, here's my test. Why do I wear beads? Why do I trace calligraphies? Why do I do that and put my eyes together and my fingers and say there'll be no resistance at all? This will be effortless. Because number one, it has no risk. You know, maybe these look a little silly, but my wife gave them to, so be careful. But there's no risk. There's no risk in tracing calligraphies. Now, if you're in Mexico City and they say in order to get to a higher consciousness, you have to cut off your head, tremendous risk. What if it doesn't work? So that's the second piece. Does it work for you? So what does it hurt you to go ahead and try? Nobody's watching. Go ahead and try. I trace calligraphies because it works for me. I wear beads because it works for me. I close my eyes and tell myself I'm not going to get any resistance and this is going to be effortless because it works for me. I know when I leave a message, I am as close to the line as I can to get you to call you back. Only one time you don't want someone to call you back, and that's when you're calling your mother-in-law. You want the exact opposite. Leave a message so she doesn't call you back. Awesome.
How much time we got?
Let's do one more.
One more question? You pick
Well, I
it?
take questions after the link. I'll answer questions after the LinkedIn stuff, so if people need to ask me.
Yeah, no, I think we're done with the LinkedIn question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Here one and
Oh,
we'll
perfect.
keep streaming them.
Okay.
We'll keep going.
Okay.
I don't know who's first.
You want to go? Go ahead. Sure.
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
My name is Mike O'Donnell. I'm actually creating a digital wellness company that incentivizes individuals to stay off their cell phones at work and at home. And by doing so, they'd actually be rewarded by local merchants. So my ask of you, and sorry to do it in front of everyone, is would you be a mentor of mine?
Absolutely. And if anyone's interested in mentoring, I have a unique program about mentoring that I oversee. It will directly mentor people, but also oversee, I have some of my mentors here that I oversee. All the mentoring that I do is really simple, and I'm very public about it. I'm not like anyone else. My mentoring is about conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mentoring. It's 2 focus calls, so you can tell me exactly what you want. I leverage all of the relationships that I have, but I also give homework, mental homework, focus homework, that you have to do every day, 10 minutes a day. And then I'm on call, even for the other people's clients, I'm on call 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. And I utilize my 520 rule, but I'm there to help you real time as a chiropractor. Okay, you're going into a meeting, what should I, close your eyes, say this, do this, right? Real time, before, during, and after. I don't charge for coaching. So what I do is I believe no coach can tell you if they can help you or who can help you or how. So I work with everyone for a month, determine how I can help, who can help, how much value I can provide. My coaching is about making money. So literally, I'm gonna put you with a coach. If you're in college, I have coaches that I coach for free so they can coach you for free and I can oversee it. If I have a client that's a billionaire, he pays me $50,000 a month and he literally gets off the cheapest because I was too afraid to ask for more. Because I make him I only work month to month with people. All my coaches work month to month and guarantee they're going to make you profit. Not bullshit coaching you feel better and go back to the same temperature 9 months later, but literally every month, dude, you're costing me this much money. I just made this much. If not, it's guaranteed. So yes, I will mentor you personally because you asked and you learned here. I will personally mentor you and figure out exactly how I can be of service using all those techniques.
Should I reach out to you in LinkedIn?
DM or LinkedIn. Oh, sorry, LinkedIn me for sure.
Thanks.
Actually, I like LinkedIn
I
better.
think we can do one more since that one's kind of quick.
All right.
This guy right here.
First of all, once again, thank you. This has been an incredible experience, and the pizza also was unbelievable.
I made it myself. It's kosher.
Exactly, even better. So, for a young professional like me with limited experience, who's really trying to make his way into the industry of sports, what are some tips to make a lasting impression while meeting either you or, other very important people so that they remember me as REA Sunshine and not just a 21-year-old kid who was just at one of their events?
Absolutely. So, first of all, you have to provide that valued emotional connection, right? You have to be able to say, hey, Mr. Meltzer, can you please help me? Like, it has to get to that level. I've been through so much, right? I have limited knowledge as well. I was in that position. Every single person, from Mark Cuban to, I won't list names, all the guys that you would think would sit there and not want to help you, we all have sat in your position. We all have been rejected. People telling us that we can't write books, people telling us we can't play football, people telling us that we're crazy, that these ideas won't work. And we were scared about getting our first job, and we just wanted every single person. So what you really need to do is go ahead, put yourself around those people, and ask them. Say, look, I really want to get a job. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do that. I want to do whatever it takes. Can I give you my cell phone number, or can I get yours? I really want to, whatever it takes. Can I shadow you? Raise your hand if you've shadowed me or shadow me right now. Raise your hand out of those people if you work with me right now. See a common theme? Those are people that ask me to shadow. And guess what? That guy's an NBA player and asked me to shadow. That guy played at St. John's in Hofstra and is a leading agent and attorney. Asked to shadow me. That guy's a leading attorney. Asked to shadow me. This kid graduated top of his class from Michigan. Asked to shadow me. This guy's still in school and he's working for me. I flew him here from California so he can learn. Right? This guy owned his own oil and gas, moved to California, told me specifically, I just want to learn from you. That guy right there. That's what it takes. I had a kid from New York, one of my favorite. I didn't know it because he played it off so well, barely knew English. He went to St. John's. One of my favorite stories, Ray. And Ray literally knew every time, because I do meetups, came to New York. Every time I came to New York, he reminds me who he is. I'm at St. John's. I'm going to work for you. Well, why do you think you're going to work for me? Because I'll work for free. Okay, yeah, I guess you will work for me. That's fine. Can't beat that deal. I'm on my business. I didn't have an office in New York at the time. I'm on my business in California. Well, when I graduate, I'll get there. I was like, okay, call me. So sure enough, after like 3 times, he would grab my bag. He would Jim Layers had to get to the airport one time. He's like, I'll take him, returned the car, took the train back from JFK, met me back again, thanked me for taking Jim. This is the kind of kid it was. Graduates, calls me, said, I'm driving out. I'm like, who is this? This is Ray. I'm like, who's Ray? Whatever, okay. All right, Ray. He goes, I'm working for you for free, remember? I'm all, sounds like a good deal. So he drives out in this car, and it ends up breaking down 12 miles from my office. But he sleeps in it for 2 days and doesn't tell me his car's broken down. But he's working. Well, today, when we went to China with him, he's the one that helped me get the relationship with Sina Weibo and Tencent, which is really big deals for my company. He then he is the head guy of USA Badminton now, right? Moved on from our company, still a great partner of mine. And I found out through all this, when I went to China, there's a test that they give you of your competency of English. And literally, why he was successful, he knows barely any English. When I asked, because I have another kid that graduated Michigan, Min Yang, and he's like, well, I got a 134 on that test. I said, Ray, what'd you get? And he goes, 71. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the other kid from China is like, he knows no English. Like, it's like getting an 800 on your SAT where no Sean Patel, right? You just signed your name and got there. Like literally, but he worked this whole time. And so I asked him like, how did you do that? He said, I'd come in, right? Because he was in sponsorship sales, right? Because if you're gonna work for free, that's how you make money, selling sponsorship. And he did it. And now he does it for the USA Badminton. I said, well, how'd you do it? He said, ask you what you would say, and I record it with my phone, and then I would memorize what those words were. He literally outsold almost my entire office just mimicking what I told him to say word for word. So that is your solution. You want to work in the sports industry, find where you want to work, do whatever it takes. You know, Mike Tannenbaum, who was the GM of the Jets, he used to really aggravate me. We went to law school together, and he would tell everyone how lucky he was. That's how he got to be the GM of the Jets. And it would really make me aggravated because I remember graduating law school, having the exact same loans, 6 figures of loans, graduating law school, same Jewish guilt in the family, and he went to go work for the Saints for $600 a month for 2 years. Right? I wasn't willing to do that. I wasn't willing to sacrifice like he did. That's how he got there. He was basically working for free. And I'm not saying don't get paid, but in sports, everybody, if you think you're going to be paid when you start out in sports, unless your dad owns the team, you're not. And go ask Steve Jones and Andrew Hunt and those guys. I'm not sure their dads pay them very much when they started. You just got to sacrifice. The world is changing, right? So by 2027, over 50% of the people in the world are going to be freelancers. That also applies to sports. So remember, there's going to be a lot more lateral movement. Guys like the president of the San Jose Sharks, that was the CMO of SAP, that now is the president of the Sharks. Same reason Leigh hired me, right? They're going to look for skills because these are multi-billion-dollar businesses. So don't think, I personally think the days of starting out in the ticket booth and working your way up over 40 years are about as possible and probable as going to a company and staying there your whole life. Not probably the best way to get there.
As we wrap up, can we talk a little bit about the foundations you're a part of? I mean, how people can donate or be a part of it?
Yeah, you know, I love value for value. So anyone that I coach, love to have them donate books to Junior Achievement. I'm the chancellor of Junior Achievement University, one of the top entrepreneurial charities. We have over 100 million alumni. So from kids from 12 into 25, teaching them to be entrepreneurs. I'm the chairman of Unstoppable Foundation, which is always a great foundation, especially for young women. In Kenya specifically is where I work in the Bagani, my whole family and I. Crescent Moon Foundation, we give scholarships to at-risk kids for giving back to the community. So no matter what their grades are, if they're enlightened enough to give back to the community, even though they're in need, those are the kids that we invest in. You know, I've worked with thousands of charities in the respect of donating items, experiences, money. We have it portioned out for literally thousands of different charities. Everything I do has to have a charitable purpose or cause. If you're going to work with me, you have to have a charitable purpose or cause of your own. You have to be able to understand that things are coming through you for other people. If you want, you know, just remember my name, David Meltzer. It's LinkedIn, David Meltzer. So you can find me really easily. Dave Meltzer is a World Wrestling Federation MMA guy. He's older than me, not quite as good looking, so don't get us confused. But I own DaveMeltzer.com, so I'll catch you anyway.
We leave off with words to live by, personal mantra, ethos, and then we'll just wrap it up. And
Yeah, you know, my favorite is really simple. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. So, like, if you literally, I get choked up thinking about it. Like, it's such a simple thing to me. Like, when I meet people, when I look at places, kindness is it's easy. Like, my wife doesn't like walking with me because I stop and pick up trash now, and I open doors, and I literally do this stuff as much as I can. Do good deeds. It'll come. Don't trade for it, right? You don't need to manipulate the system. Just think to yourself, what am I going to do to improve myself every day? How am I kind to my future self? And usually just doing good deeds, you'll stand out way more than being even the first person in and the last person to leave. just being the kindest person, it'll stand out. Truth vibrates the fastest. People are aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than them. If you're vibrating faster with that kindness, it's going to blow you away. So be kind to your future self.
Awesome. Appreciate it. And that's all I got, man. So,